You're probably sitting there scrolling, wondering if the next big purchase for your living room will actually make a difference in how you feel after a long day. You've heard the hype about full-body massage chairs, but what you really need is something that actually eases that knot in your lower back, keeps the noise down while you're watching TV, and doesn't end up as a pricey paperweight. If you're scared of blowing a few $100s on a chair that sounds great in the brochure, but feels like a metal box in real life, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the Recliner's luxury 4D full-body massage chair. The first thing I looked at was how it fits a range of body types, because a chair that only works for people under 5 feet 5 inches is pretty much useless for most families. The brand calls the backtrack system SL Track and says it extends down to the calves. In practice, that means the rollers actually travel past the mid-back and keep moving until they reach the lower leg, which is a step up from the older models that stopped at the thighs. For someone like me around 5 feet 11 inches, with a longer torso, that extra reach makes the difference between a quick shoulder rub and a real stretch that hits the hamstrings and calves, especially after a bike ride. The chair also boasts a body scan that claims to map each user's shape before it starts. What that looks like in the living room is a quick 30-second press of a button while you sit, and the chair adjusts the rollers and airbags to match your height and weight. If you have a family of 3 or 4, that feature can actually save you a few minutes each time you switch seats. It's not a medical-grade scanner, but for the price point it's a nice convenience, especially compared with older chairs, where you'd have to manually move the footrests, or hope the preset length was close enough. Now, let's get into the massage experience itself. There are 18 auto programs and 6 different techniques, ranging from kneading to tapping, rolling, Shiatsu, and even a foot roller that works like a mini pedicure. I tried the deep tissue program because I wanted to see if it could replace my twice-a-week visits to the physio spa. The chair started with a firm pressure along my spine, then gradually added calf kneading. The intensity was adjustable on the fly, which is helpful if you're in the middle of a Netflix binge and don't want to feel like you're being squeezed by a hydraulic press. The pressure level stayed consistent for the full 20-minute session, which is something I've noticed missing on cheaper models that start strong and then drop off. Noise is a common complaint with these machines, especially if you plan to use them while the kids are sleeping or during a conference call. The Recliner's chair runs on a quiet motor that stays under 55 decibels, roughly the sound of a quiet kitchen dishwasher. In my apartment, you could barely hear it over the hum of the air conditioner. That's a real plus if you're in a shared space, or just don't want to feel like you're in a loud gym. Space is another practical concern. The chair's footprint is about 38 inches wide and 71 inches deep when fully reclined, which is about the size of a standard recliner, but with a more pronounced tilt. It does need a little clearance behind the footrest when you push it into the zero-gravity position. Think a couple of feet of wall space. If you're living in a studio or a cramped office, you'll have to measure before you order. The upside is that the zero-gravity recline actually spreads your body weight more evenly, reducing pressure on the spine and making those long sessions feel more like floating than being strapped into a chair. Control simplicity matters because no one wants to fiddle with a dozen remote buttons while they are trying to unwind. This model offers 4 ways to command it: a handheld remote, a side panel touchpad, voice control, and a smartphone app. I found the voice commands to be high Thomas. They work best in a quiet room and sometimes misinterpret start as stop. The app, however, gives you a visual overview of each program, letting you tweak the intensity, heat, and even the music volume. Speaking of music, there's a built-in Bluetooth speaker that streams your playlist directly to the chair's speakers, so you can drown out any ambient noise without adding a separate sound system. Speaking of heat, the lumbar and calf heating elements are a nice touch for people who suffer from chronic lower back pain or tight calves after a run. The heat cycles on and off automatically, so you don't have to remember to turn it off when you get up. In my tests, The heat felt gentle about a warm towel enough to relax the muscles without leaving a burn. Now, who should actually consider buying this chair? If you're someone who spends a lot of time